Hey everybody, this is Nathan Smith. Today I'm going to walk you guys through my methodology review. And the methodology I'm going to be reviewing is the Comprehensive Musicianship through Performance model. Now, this model was started in 1977 as a partnership between different professional music education groups like the Wisconsin Music Educators Association. And it was in response to a particular need that they were seeing through research in the world of music education. The problem that they were noticing is that a lot of middle school and high school music education programs were very focused on group ensemble work, basically participating in band, orchestra, choir, and doing it for performance. And so they were doing a lot of teaching of performance skills, being able to play the right songs in the right way for the big show, which I'm familiar with as part of my music education experience growing up. I played in band, I played alto saxophone, and it was very much kind of focused on we're going to master these songs for this big performance at the end of the semester, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Now, the problem with that is that those performance skills of being able to hit certain notes and have the right tone and play the right song in the right way doesn't necessarily mean that there's a deeper or greater understanding of musicianship, of what it means to make music or to appreciate music. And there's this goal in music education that general music, just kind of experiencing music, needs to be central to music education. It's not always the case, or it wasn't always the case before this idea came around. So the solution that these teachers in Wisconsin came up with was comprehensive musicianship through performance. So rather than just preparing to perform, we're going to use performance and preparing for performance as a way of building greater understanding. So the whole catchphrase of the CMP methodology is performance with understanding. So not just hitting the right notes and playing the right songs the right way, but understanding why we're playing this particular piece of music. What does it mean? What's its significance? Why is it necessary that I play with a particular tone? What is the meaning or the message that that's conveying? So it's all in all a more holistic approach to music education using the form of ensembles and groups. So what is comprehensive musicianship through performance, or CMP? It is not a curriculum. It is not like a way of structuring everything. It's more of a method for planning instruction. And it's more of a framework for viewing the ensemble or the group rehearsal for performance, so like practicing in the band room or in the orchestra room, as a learning laboratory, a place where through performing, playing and performing music, we can engage in this more holistic, well-rounded version of music education. So what are the 5 points of the CMP model? The CMP model has 5 main points on this little star image that you can see on the screen here. The 5 points are selection, assessment, strategies, outcomes, and analysis. Now, the thing about these 5 points is that they are the major points of planning your instruction in music education. But you can start really with any of the 5 points and then use or come around to all of them in your education process. So they're all kind of equally important in the CMP model. There's not like a hierarchy. They're all part of the same star. So let's think about selection first. So the first part is selection, or one of the first points is selection. And that has to do with selecting literature and music for students that is like complex and varied and appropriate, maybe touches on previous knowledge or cultural influences. So really thinking about the material selection for use in the ensemble that is meeting as many of the needs of students as possible. So the selection of what the kids are playing or performing and why it's important is very significant. The second part is assessment. Assessment is key to the CMP model. It means that you're assessing what students need to learn or what they should be learning before they start, while they're performing or practicing or rehearsing, and afterward as well. So you're seeing, what are we learning? How well are we learning it every step along the way? The third point is strategies. So strategies include, how are music teachers going to teach the content, which connects with the next point, that is outcomes. So outcomes has to do with like the objectives. What do we want the students to learn? What skills do we want them to possess? How are we going to get them to be able to perform a piece of music with these technical skills? And why is that significant? So what are the learning objectives? And the strategies connect right back to that. So how are we going to teach the kids to have these skills, these performance skills? Or if we want the learning outcome to be that they understand and appreciate the particular genre of music, what strategies are we going to use to have them reach that understanding or that appreciation? And then last is analysis. So analysis has to do with the analysis of music. So the kids in CMP kind of band or orchestra or choir space aren't necessarily just performing to perform music. They're also analyzing music that they're hearing so that they better understand music as a whole. They're thinking about, what was the context that this piece came from? How is the mood or the tone of the piece communicated through the music? What kind of technical musical tools are being used in this piece of music? And how can we best, as performers, convey that meaning or express that message of a piece of music? So the 5 points of the CMP model are really interesting to me, because the big idea is that we're trying to make music education more holistic, more generalized, rather than just performing technical skills or building repertoire. We're trying to engage in a more well-rounded musical education. And these 5 points really kind of help push us toward that. That's the whole purpose. The thing that's interesting to me is that this can really be applied to any art form or any classroom. So, for example, I'm a visual arts teacher. I am also, when I'm planning visual arts lessons for my students, going to be thinking about a lot of these same 5 pillars of planning a well-rounded lesson. I'm going to be thinking about assessing them. How do I know that they're learning what they're learning? I'm going to have a clear objective in mind before I start. What are the things that I want my students to learn about art or integrated subjects? I'm going to be planning my strategies. How am I going to communicate to my students the things that I want them to learn? I'm selecting things for lessons in my visual arts classroom that I think are appropriate to the age group of my students in elementary school, as well as things that I think they're going to find interesting, that are culturally relevant to them, that are going to be engaging. And I'm asking them to analyze art as well. So we're not just making art to put up in the art show. We're also looking at examples from art history, and we're thinking about our own art that we're making and trying to understand the artistic choices that we're making in our art. So we're analyzing, we're thinking about outcomes, we're assessing, we're selecting, we're doing all of these things of the comprehensive musicianship through performance in my art classroom, because I'm also looking at it as having the goal of being a well-rounded, holistic arts education experience. So this model with these 5 points can be applied to any classroom. So if you're really interested in the CMP model, and you're maybe thinking about how you could apply it to your own teaching, whether that's in a different arts form or in a general education grade level classroom, I found this book that looks really, really interesting. I wanted to recommend it as further reading. It's called Just Good Teaching: Comprehensive Musicianship Through Performance in Theory and Practice. It's available on Amazon and on Kindle. It might be a good place to start looking for more information. And then here are my references for my research that I did for this methodology review. Thank you all so much for watching.